welcome to the premiere episode of Winter Coffin. We're currently in preview, so what you're seeing here is not what it's going to look like when it's all done. We still have some wires and cables hanging out here, and we're just in the middle of construction, but I want to put a couple of videos out so that everybody could see kind of what we're working on. And as you can see by the screen next to me, today we're going to be talking about Doctor Who. And a lot of the criticism about the two-part finale, Heaven Sent and Hellbent, have been around the Doctor's experience inside of his confession dial. And there's a sense that he didn't really sacrifice all that much to be able to save Clara. He just kind of lived the same 3 or 4 days over and over and over again. And so when the Doctor does finally escape, it's really with only 3 or 4 days of additional experience. And that, you know, even though he was trapped there for, we now learned, 4.5 billion years, truly he was only there for about 3 or 4 days, a billion times. I think this is kind of a misreading of the episode, and is actually similar to a lot of misreadings of movies where time travel is involved, because we tend to confuse what's happening on screen, like what we're actually seeing, with the length of time that is passing. So Doctor Who at most is ever going to be an hour long. And so we say, well, you know, we saw a few things. We saw him dig in a hole, and we saw him punch in the wall. And so he was probably there for 3 or 4 days, no more than that, and just repeated that on cycle. However, there's a lot of evidence inside the episode that he was there for a very long time each time. So first, let's start off with the story of the bird. The Doctor tells the story of the Brothers Grimm and how a bird would come every 100 years to sharpen its beak on the Diamond Mountain. You know, if the Doctor had been punching that wall every 3 or 4 days, while the story would still hold true, the length of time there is interesting. That the Doctor equates being trapped there and hammering away on that wall with that bird who had done it every 100 years. So the Doctor doesn't say a bird came by every 3 or 4 minutes. The bird came by once every 100 years. So I think that that's an interesting kind of textual piece of evidence. But we see other pieces of evidence inside the episode that the Doctor was there for a significant amount of time. So one of the first things we do see is that the Doctor begins framing this up like he's going to be there for a very long time. We see him learning the castle. We see him timing out how long it's going to take the Veil to be able to get to him. These are all things that aren't going to happen in just a day or two. He starts to create a detailed map of the castle. So you can see him, you know, with his pencil, he's writing notes. And again, remember, this castle is not just any ordinary castle. It's a puzzle box. The Doctor says this explicitly a couple of times inside the episode. This is a puzzle box designed to challenge him, designed to torture him. So each new room he finds, we can't just say, oh, walks in, oh, it's not room 12, let me leave. Each room challenges him, similar to how we see he has to dig the hole. This is another, you know, each room he finds is going to challenge him in a deeper way. And so we see up to one point that he's mapped over 150 rooms. He's trying to find room 12. That's his ultimate goal. And he's going through room after room after room and mapping this place. He learns that's exactly 82 minutes from the farthest place to the shortest place inside. So again, a lot of textual evidence inside the episode and things that the Doctor says to make us believe that it could be a significant amount of time. Another interesting thing we see in the episode is how the Doctor finally breaks down that diamond wall. He gives it one more huge shot, and then it kind of crumbles and shatters. The Doctor is probably very strong. Time Lords are rumored to be much stronger physically than humans. We don't see the Doctor do a lot of kind of physical, you know, we don't see him carrying boxes and stuff like that. But the Doctor, from the appearances here, is actually pretty physically strong, because it's not like he knocks down the final like little millimeter of the Diamond Mountain with that last punch. We actually see a large portion of it crumble away. So because of that, we can assume that kind of each blow that the Doctor is hitting is probably significantly stronger than an average human punch, because he is doing, you know, pretty significant damage, which means it's going to take less total punches for him to be able to break through that wall. We don't need to think, well, he had to hit it, you know, 1 billion times. He probably could have hit it, you know, 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times, however many you want to calculate. But each time we kind of see that that length of time in between punches gets longer and longer and longer. We also see the Doctor despair in this episode. You know, the scene where he's eating the soup. He's thinking, am I going to be here forever? And I just can't imagine the Doctor, given his span of time, reaching that level of despair in just 3 or 4 days. It would probably take years upon years for him to develop that level of just, am I going to be stuck here forever? So because of all of this, let's say the doctor, spends a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. Let's just go all out with the bird analogy and say that he is trapped here 100 years in each loop. No matter what, it increases the value of his sacrifice that he makes. Instead of it just being, well, the doctor only lived 3 or 4 days, and then he died and brought himself back. And so the investment that he made in terms of trying to save Clara was not that great. We can see throughout the episode in the way that it was shot that the doctor actually makes a tremendous sacrifice of potentially years and years and years of time to learn the castle, to learn its patterns, to learn the veil, to break down the diamond wall. And so it's possible that the doctor we see with Clara in Hell Bent, even him, that loop that he lived, could have been dozens, if not hundreds of years. Thank you very much for listening. Again, this is my first time kind of doing this. We're going to have other shows, other guests, higher production value, so all kinds of cool stuff. So if you're interested in just finding out more or learning more about, not just Doctor Who, but we're going to do movie reviews, all kinds of stuff, please like the video or subscribe.